All right. What a draft, eh? And I don't mean ours. That is next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And who knows? Maybe we'll have a surprise before then. A competitive surprise based off of maybe some general manager inactivity. We'll have to see. So here I am. We're gonna look over the first 2 rounds through Fantasy Pros website. This is gonna give people a better general idea on what to do with that area or pick after they've been selected on their teams. Just kind of taking a look right now, you can kind of see it's basically the same in this first round. Aside from at the bottom, you might notice Brian Thomas and Rome actually have both fallen a little bit, while Pearsall has made his way up, and Bo Nix, who was also projected to maybe have fallen out of this round, sitting around 12. So I just kind of wanted to go over just these players and the team they're on and the position that I think that they'll take up right away, as well as how it will affect other players on that team. So we will start off strong, right off the hop. Caleb Williams, Chicago. Everybody kind of knew about it. There's not really too much to talk about. He has pink nails and a pink phone case. Other than that, he seems a little zesty. So we'll see how his attitude does transition going into the big leagues. But literally every analyst just had him as number 1, and that's kind of what it was going to be. He has a crazy team around him. Starts off with that old fart Keenan Allen, and then you've got DJ Moore, who could also be counted as a former number 1 wide receiver, and number 7 overall, Romo Dunze, which we'll talk about him when we get down there, but he's got a pretty stacked wide receiver core. He's got Cole Kmet up at tight end, as well as Jarrett Everett, if I'm not wrong, and DeAndre Swift at running back. So very heavy team. It's all going to be based around how well Caleb Williams does. I don't know if he's going to get the ball to everybody, but he has a really good supporting cast. So very safe, very good, reliable number 1 quarterback. We go to Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to be number 2 on here, though he was number 4 in the NFL draft. Going off as wide receiver 1. Clear cut, no doubt about it. Honestly, a great team, good landing spot. It could have been a lot worse. He finds himself there as a clear number 1 wide receiver. His only real competition would be Trey McBride. After that, it goes Michael Wilson, and kind of falls off after that. So, as well, Kyler Murray's throwing to him, dynasty QB. Fantastic stats when he can stay healthy, and he does throw the bomb to his guy. Like, when DeAndre Hopkins was there, he was getting just aired out constantly. And then running back support with James Conner for starting into next season, as well as a rookie, which I'm sure we will get to as well. So yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., another great safe pick, awesome landing spot, works out really great for him. Jaden Daniels, I was really pumped about him. I think he's a very sneaky addition there for Washington. The guy is a former Heisman Trophy winner, has amazing stats, great college career, good peripherals, can run, bomb of an arm. And they're loading him up with scary Terry McLaurin. He gets Jahan Dotson, tight end Zach Ertz, and then at running back they add in Austin Eckler. So great spot. You can't argue about that. It's we're pretty lucky with where a lot of these guys ended up going. I think it's going to be pretty beneficial for a couple squads. Then down to Malik Neighbors. And honestly, from here on out, it gets a little more interesting for all of them. I think the first 3 picks are pretty safe, and it doesn't mean that that's where they're going to go in our draft, but they're much safer for sure. Malik Neighbors is a hell of a talent, and he would be the number 1 wide receiver without a doubt if Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't there. He is very close to being number 1. He comes off as the second, and he goes on the Giants. They did invest in Jalen Hyatt last year, and they invested in signing Darren Waller. Question mark still about Darren Waller. Jalen Hyatt is a different type of wide receiver as Malik Neighbors, so I would expect Hyatt to stay as a nice number 2 there. Malik Neighbors should go off as the number 1, and a lot of it's going to rely on Daniel Jones' major passing season. This is the best wide receiver he's ever had. Running back, they've got Singletary. He will do what he does, which is, pretty standard for him as running back. So he does do some pass catching, but number 1 getting pass, it's going to be Malik Neighbors. He should be getting stuffed, but it's just not as safe as maybe some others. But I would still put him down as a possible wide receiver start for this year. J.J. McCarthy for number 5 overall in here. And the 3rd quarterback to come out for this mock. Minnesota was praying for this guy. He's going to be close to what Kirk Cousins was. He's just younger. So he's going to have more speed in the pocket. Fresher arm, may not be as accurate as quickly, but he was also the college football champion last year. So he's no joke. He just may not be as explosive as others or as sexy as other picks. But you've got JJ, and his number 1 wide receiver is JJ, Justin Jefferson. You couldn't ask for anything better than that with TJ Hawkinson at tight end. It's kind of a dream come true for him passing. Running back's a little bit more of an interesting one there. They got Jones, but I don't think it's going to really affect him too much. I think they'll use Jones as more of a within the red zone type of running back. So maybe he sneaks a couple of touchdowns away from JJ, but I think they're going to air the ball out for sure with him. There should be no scarcity there for him. So honestly, it's a pretty good pick. Drake May was the one I was kind of worried about the most. He doesn't have a 100% solidified running back situation with Stevenson, so he's not super safe with that. I think they're going with him still, but they kind of did lose some faith with him, I think, last year. That team got fucking dummied big time. Mike Gesicki should still be the tight end there. Unless, again, there could be still trades and signings that happen, but he should be the one there. For wide receiver, they did draft Jalen Polk. He's good, but he's not one of these guys on this first round. Kind of good. So it's going to be interesting to see, I think, how he does there. He's got Kendrick Bourne. They did sign him. They've got Caleb Fortenberry. I don't know if he's going to be back in the league or not, but I would say right this second, Drake May, who is suggested to be the second quarterback, who's now looking at the 4th, would be a interesting pick. He's got the talent. Obviously, they like him. He just doesn't have anything around him right now. So he's probably going to be a guy that you wouldn't really... He's not going to be for a team that's looking to win right now. kind of thing. Or if it is for a team that's winning right now, he's for you for later on. Rome, like I stated up there. Chicago pick, going to be a killer. I don't think this season. I think this season he's going to be looking at a strong number 3 unless DJ Moore gets moved. I think this might put Cole Kmet back a little bit. Same thing with Everett, even more so. But I would think that they're going to try and use old man Keenan as much as they can this year. Someone's going to have to be moved at some point, though. I don't think all the balls are going at everywhere that they would want Caleb to be able to do. So we'll have to kind of see how that works. Again, though, Rome, unreal talent. He's got a number 1 quarterback with him from this draft. Great pick to have. And, I mean, if he falls down to 7-8 area, kind of a steal. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in ours, but this is just the in general where they think or suggest where players should end up. Brock Bowers. Let's just say the root of all ego got a kick in the nuts from this one. Brock Bowers was looking at, as clear-cut as could be, the tight end number 1, the best ever rated college football tight end ever. His talent's undeniable. He is more built like a bigger wide receiver, but the guy's crazy. Like, his stats are out of control. They suggest when you're going with tight end that it may not work right away. It could be something you have to wait a little bit on, i.e. Kyle Pitts owners who may have drafted him a couple years ago and are still waiting. So if you're looking to lock down the position, this is the guy. You can get it done right here. It's going to cost a first rounder, but he's most likely going to really be the future of the Vegas Raiders. It's, even though they have Michael Mayer, you use a 13th overall and the best available player. He's going to be most likely this guy that's going to see most of the targets. The GM did mention him being also as a hybrid option receiver. So take that as you will. Could be some pretty good points. PPR. Brian Thomas Jr. He was not projected to go Jacksonville area, and I was a little surprised. I think other teams were as well. They're sitting over there with tight end Evan Ingram, healthy, not too old. You've got Christian Kirk, 27, still in the middle of a big contract. You just signed Gabe Davis to a pretty substantial contract for the next 3 years. You still have Zay Jones. And then you've got Travis Etienne. He's got a great quarterback that can throw to him, but it's a little crowded over there. He, I think, out of these lower wide receivers, does have a really good chance to pop up as a number 1 right away. But he's going to have to prove it out there. He's going to have to beat Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis. Like, every week, it's going to be a battle to have the better plays, the yak, the yards after catch, to make him stand out, at least for year 1. All these guys right here are guys that you can invest in that should be on their teams for the easy 4 or 5 years of their rookie deal and show up and play well. It's just maybe the first year might be a little tougher, and that's what Brian Thomas will have in his situation. Xavier Worthy. Congratulations, Buffalo Bills, on losing the AFC Championship again. What Patty Mahomes wants, Patty Mahomes gets. He wanted Xavier Worthy, and we're looking at a Tyreek Hill 2.0, I think. Fastest guy coming out of the draft. He can make crazy catches. This guy is going to be Pat Mahomes' best friend. I think you're looking around like I think you're looking around the Marvin Harrison Jr. area where you can say this guy should be a number 1. His competition is Hollywood Brown, and Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Race or Rice, as we'd say. Rasheed's looking at a possible suspension for about 6 weeks or so, and it'll put him in the dirty. Hollywood's there to prove a point, so it's gonna be fun. I think it's a big upgrade from last year. I mean, last year it was just Tony and Moore, so then they added Mecole Hardman. So the top three here are a substantial increase. Tony's still there. We'll see how they use him, but I think it's just gonna be the top three guys once Rasheed's in. Sky Moore, you can kick my fucking dirt down the sidewalk, buddy. He's most likely going to have to be moved, or he stays as a 4, but he loses a lot of value. Ricky Pearsall. This one kind of surprised, I think, majority of analysts. The rumor came out the day before that it was going to be Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel that would be moved. They did not get moved. He's coming into it at a 3rd or 4th option, maybe even 5th on the team, until somebody gets moved. There are still rumors that Deebo or Ayuk can be traded. Ayuk's the one that needs the contract, and Deebo's kind of been a stalwart there for a bit, but he is older. We'll have to see who gets moved and how it will increase how he plays, but as of right now, he's behind, and not in any real specific order, but Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and then there's Ricky Pearsall. So I'm a little surprised that they do have him up this high until somebody gets moved or traded, especially when he wasn't even in the top 12 area before this. So if Brock Starr can go and have a 3rd amazing year, one of those guys gets traded, Kittle turns, his head and moves on over to the old folks' home, maybe he's got a chance, but riskier pick for even the next 2 years. But an animal, physical animal. He is a beast. So no real loss on picking him. Bo Nix. Bobo. Let's ride. Denver Bronco. Let's go, baby. Woo! They needed a quarterback. They selected the last one that was really available up there. He'll do good. He was a good quarterback. He is a little underrated compared to the other ones because, again, they're more explosive. But he is good. The team that's around him, I mean, he's set himself up. He's got Greg Dulcich at tight end, praying to stay healthy. You've got Courtland Sutton at wide receiver, and then running back Javonte Williams. So he's not going into the worst situation. He does, though, have to battle Zach Wilson right now. Zach Wilson was traded over there 2 days beforehand. So when you're taking a draft pick of him, especially when it's around the 12 area anyways, there's a possibility that he's going to have to be most likely either benched or taxied to start the season. And that's what's going to turn into this next half for the most part, unless there's something more surprising or standout. But as be it, we'll jump into round 2. But right there, last kind of visual on here, and again, this is just through Fantasy Pros, rookie mock draft, Superflex, 2-rounder. So we'll go here to number 2. As you can see, it shows as FA on some of them. So a couple of those they obviously still have to go on there and update them, but you can kind of get the gist. I think this won't change much from once they add the team name. We'll go off here. I would love to start with Michael Penis, but we'll start off with Xavier Leggett. Xavier Leggett should be going into Carolina as wide receiver 1 or 2. His main competition will be Deontay Johnson. The reason why is just because he's more proven. Other competition is Adam Thielen, and then of course last year's second or third round pick, Jonathan Mingo. So there's some interesting pieces around there for him. I think he's above and beyond some of the others. If I'm not wrong, I don't want to get the Xaviers mixed up, but if I am right, this was the Xavier that didn't really do anything for 4 years, and then in his senior year he killed it. So he could be a bit of a risk at the top of the second, maybe not, but he's someone to kind of look out for. I think he's got the talent, but he's an interesting pickup there for sure. Gives Bryce Young some legit, another legit young wide receiver to go after. 14, A.D. Mitchell. This is a guy that I do like. His peripheral is really nice. He came out of Texas. I think he's going to do pretty good going into Indianapolis. He's not going to be the number one guy. Michael Pittman's there. And, let's be honest, it might be a battle for him at number 2 with Josh Downs. So they have no real tight end support necessarily right now. But they're an interesting team, and he will do well there. It's just if he's going to end up popping off with other great talents around him, and I think that's why he drops down. Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. My bad. Poor guy. Bad name, bad team he got drafted to. So this was the shocker of the draft. He had a lot of people, not him necessarily, but the Atlanta Falcons had a lot of people cranked up about this one. They just signed Kirk Cousins. Yes, Kirk's 34. Yes, he's coming off an ACL injury, but you just paid him big bucks. So they had people, raising their pitchforks pretty high. He himself is already 24. If somehow Kirk Cousins balled the fuck out and made Penix Jr. wait 4 years, we're looking at a 28-year-old quarterback. Not only that, but that means that you have to wait that long. The GM did come out and say, the owner, after that little clip came out at least, the owner came out and said that this was his choice. He wanted him, thinking about the future, best player available, yada yada. The defense against it is that they have their running back in Bijan. They've got their tight end, Kyle Pitts. They've got their wide receiver, Drake London. They're kind of set. So I guess they felt really worried about the backup and the possibility of if Kirk gets hurt. So you're kind of, the only reason he's fallen this low, which I don't think is fair enough, is you're kind of banking on Kirk getting hurt or being dreadfully bad for what the amount he's getting paid. And he's never really been that bad. So I don't think it's fair he's this low. I think he is still worth the gamble. And before this, he was up there with being around the third or fourth quarterback being taken off the board. So take a look, another good wager for a team that doesn't need a quarterback right now, or maybe the owner of Kirk Cousins, wink, wink. It'd probably be a good idea. If you can get him this low, I think it's a steal. First running back off the board, Jonathan Brooks. It's a weird one. It's I don't think it's what people pictured first off with being the first running back off the board. Just because he has been injured before. But he, technically is recovering. I'm not going to lie about that. More people had the as you can see on there, the RB3 as the number 1, and he fell quite a bit. So the other part I'll add in too is that they pictured the first running back to be going to Dallas, and you'd have a clear-cut RB, no problem. That didn't happen either. This guy went to Carolina. Carolina signed Miles Sanders to a 3-year deal last year in the offseason and did fuck all with him. They then moved over to Chuba Hubbard. Chuba is only 24 years old. On top of that, as we see at the top of this board, number 13, that's their wide receiver they selected. They also did trade for a wide receiver with Deontay. So, coming off an injury, sharing a backfield with what looks like should be a pass-heavy offense. Unless for some reason everything changes on this team, it doesn't make it. It's not really a boom for myself or really a lot of other people. So we'll see. I do think he's a little high on this, and I think maybe that is based off of a team, but I don't know. Me personally, I'm not super high on it, but you never know. If he does get used as a pass catching back, it could turn out really well. There's a reason why he was the first one off the board, even with an injury. So if you're allegedly looking for the best back right now, that's the way to go. Allegedly. Ladd McConkey, a.k.a. Ladd McEdelman, a.k.a. Ladd McWelker. And for the people that don't know, these are short white dudes that are slot wide receivers. They go on a fucking slant, and they catch a ball like that and just run like hell. That's going to be his role, and he's going to be doing it in L.A. He's going to the Chargers. They don't really have a solid number 1 there. This is a little interesting for them. I was picturing that he was going to go somewhere else, but where he's going, he doesn't really have a challenger for the ball in multiple positions as well. He there's nothing really there for running back past, I think, Gus. I mean, you got beat up JK. The one bonus for him is that he does have Justin Herbert throwing to him, and that's a score. So if Herbert feeds the ball to this guy like he did to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, this guy might end up having 20 catches that night if he can get open and show his true speed. So, could be a sneaky pick coming up this low. You could be looking at a guy that may not have the periffs as, let's say, a Rome, but he's going to get more action than him. So, Ladd McCack. Troy Franklin. He's up high here. To be honest, he just kept on falling down the draft board. He just kept on slipping. There wasn't really anything that was stopping him. This is going to be a guy that I'm going to have to do a little bit of research into. He's one that a lot of draft boards had him up very high, and he is just fucking flying down. You had the likes of Luke McCaffrey going to Washington over him, Jalen McMillan going to Tampa, Roman Wilson, Jermaine Burton, and there's a couple guys here that aren't even on this list that just got named here. So I'll maybe give them a shout out as we get a little lower here, because there's other running backs that did not make it. But yeah, Troy Franklin, not looking the best right now. And that moves us to the one and only Blake Corum. I don't like the position he went to. He may have higher draft capital than Kyron Williams, but I don't see what he's doing this year. The Rams are really fucked when it comes down to the running back situation. They basically say who's going to be the number one, and then after like 3 snaps in the first game, they switch it for the entire year. So who knows? Maybe it is going to be Blake Corum. Maybe they start with Kyron Williams and kind of tell him to, get out of here, and it's Blake Corum's season. It could be a great time for him out there. Matty Stafford's 105 years old. Cooper Kupp's a little older. They do have Puka. Tight end, they still got Tyler Higbee. So great blocking, but yeah, interesting landing position for him. I wasn't expecting that, especially with Kyron still looking hot for at least another year or two. I know it is Kyron's last season, so maybe he does get dealt to, but interesting move. And then that puts us down to what was at one point. There's a cat. Was at one point the number 1 running back, Trey Benson. So he fell a lot farther than I thought, and I think he was sitting there waiting for the call from the Dallas Cowboys, as was everybody else for him. He ended up going to the Cardinals, and I think he's going to do all right there. He's obviously got the talent. I think he's going to have maybe a 20 to 25% snap share this year unless James Conner gets banged up good. This is going to be a Conner year again. They're going to use that old man up, and it'll be Benson's team from there on out. And they're good. The Cardinals are really good with using running backs. So I like Trey Benson's spot. Again, he's not going to do a whole lot this year, but expect him from here on out to really kill it. So yeah, I put him up pretty high. For these other positions, Jalen Wright was not selected yet. Braylon Allen was not selected yet either. At least to this point, the other rounds of the draft are happening right now. But if you're not selected within the first 3 rounds, I mean, it's not looking great. Keon Coleman was, so I'll bump him up. You're looking at the newest wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Is this guy going to go off like crazy and be Stephon Diggs? No idea, but it could be Josh Allen's new number 1 target. He's a little low on this list, and I think that is, again, a little bit based off team. I think he'd be a little bit higher. But he's an interesting choice, especially if it is actually this low. So keep an eye out for Keon. I think he's gonna surprise some people out there. There must have been some that Buffalo seem to keep on trading back. So sorry, Khalil Shakir, but obviously you're not a true number 1. For some other ones on here, like I said, Jalen, some at least some side pieces to talk about. The wide receiver acquisition for the New England Patriots, Jalen Polk, opportunity to be in number 1, could be in the first 2 rounds, I think, for our draft, especially with a rookie wide receiver. As well, the Jets selected Malachi Corley, another wide receiver. He will be going into a situation where Garrett Wilson is the true number 1 there. But after that, ain't much, a.k.a. Allen Lazard. So keep an eye for Malachi Corley for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is looking to have a major year after a disappointing 4 drives, 4 snaps, and then being dead. And then we've got Roman Wilson to the Steelers. He is probably going to have a killer time out there. I think he's going to have a wicked, wicked time. Heavy set wide receiver. Guy's a beast. He gets to go out there and catch a ton of fucking balls. It's going to be the Russ Wilson versus Justin Fields season out there. And then whoever wins, this guy could turn into being the number 1 out there. So keep an eye out for Mr. Wilson. I'm pretty high on him myself. I think he's got a good shot of showing up and playing up out there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with on there. I want to be a good enough length here to make sure that Cam Job listens to this one. So that's my quick, to me at least, mock idea. Finals. This is what I think of these players in these positions and on these teams. You guys have a week to figure out the rest. We've got a week to see about players getting cut, being moved, being traded. There's still some things that could happen. I'll just do whatever else like that on the app though. But yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. And keep an eye out for good old Ben Cinnamon, Mr. Senator, sneaky tight end number 2, and Troy Franklin, and those other running backs that fell. There's some good talent there. It's just depending on how a team's actually going to use them. But either way, all 3 rounds of this draft are probably going to be killer. So congratulations on those A-plus people with 3 picks. But yeah, that's it. Thank you. Love you. Good luck. And have fun. Do your research. And be prepared. Possible personnel movement coming up. Very exciting. Very.